Hi guys, welcome to Becodewala. I welcome you to my part 2 of my Todo application, and we are building our backend. So in the part 1 we build up to our server.js, generate token function and the auth middleware, and we have also built the user model and user outs. Now we are remaining with the task route. So if you not watch part 1, go and watch part 1 and link in the description. You can go and check out, and after this completing this the task route, I will give the source code of our backend, and this will be the last part of our backend, and in the third part we will build our front end. So if you are new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe us. So let's start with our task routes. So let's build our task route. So first of all, we have to create group routes, right? So in the part 1 we have here we have commented out, so we have to uncomment it so that we can use our task route here, right? So here we are importing our task route in server.js, and here we have creating our task route, and all the group routes we will create here in the task routes. So to create group routes we have to import express from express, right? Then we have to import the protect middleware. So whenever user want to create a new task, it should be authenticated, so we will check using the protect middleware, right? Then we will import the model. So we have not created model for our task, so we will create the model for our task also. So let's go in the model file, and in this model file we have to create our task model. So name with the task model.js. So in this we will create the task model. So to create the task model, first we will import the mongoose. So we are using mongoose help to create our model and schema very easily with a few seconds and few line of code, right? So let's first create the schema of our task. So how we will do the schema? So first we will create a const schema, then mongoose dot schema, and then in this we have to define our the schema. So in this, suppose who is creating our task. So let's go and see. So who is creating this all this task? The user is creating task. So we need user ID, right, to create the task. So I am creating the task. I have a special user ID. So go to the MongoDB database. So suppose here user is creating task. So here user is creating task. So user has a user ID, right? This user has created this user task. So this task has been created by this user. This is the user ID, right? So to create each task we need the user ID who have created, and the task will be accessed to that user who has created that task. So we are using the ID to get the user task. So here you can see that this user, and you can see that the two user, this two ID are same, means this first and the second, these two of them tasks are created by this user ID, right? So here you can see on the front end also we have created two tasks, eating and coding, right? So this eating you can see that, and the coding, this is created by this user, right? This user ID, right? So to create each task we need the user ID. So let's create user, and in this we'll pass it as a type. So here we'll not type SST, we have to use something else. So we will use mongoose.schema.types.object_id. So here in the mongoose schema you can see that we are using user has a object ID. So this each user, you can see that when the user will log in, so each user has a unique ID, the object ID, right? So you have to get that object ID. So when user is creating, so it will create with their user ID. So you can see that the types object ID, and then here you can see that the required true, means it will be required, without this we can't create any task, and ref user, so it will reference to the user model, right? So for that, now we have to, what are the things that we need while creating the task. So when we are creating the task, we need title, description, priority, due date, and the status. So let's create the title. So here in the title we can define type string and required true. Then we need description. So description will be in the string type and the required true, right? Similarly we can create like priority. So in the priority we can define the type string and enum. So enum, why we define enum? High, medium. So there are three things we can take it as input, only low, medium and high. So this is a priority. When we are creating, we have only three priority, low, medium and high, right? So we can take only these three input from the user. That's why we can use the enum, right? And we can define the priority here. And after that default medium. So when user will not select, so default will be medium. So you can see that here priority is default is low. So here when user will create, the priority is low. So here you can define the default priority, automatically save. If user will not select, automatically the default priority will be medium. So after that we can define status. So status we can define like, what is the status? Pending and completed. So we can write pending and completed. We are not using in progress, we are using pending and completed. So this is of type string. And similarly we are taking only two inputs, so we have defined two inputs to select the user. So here pending and completed, right? And here we have default is pending, right? Then after that we can define the due date, right? Here due date will be type of date and required true. So when we are creating our task, we have to define the date, right? So for that, so after creating all these things, so we have to pass the timestamp. So you can see that in the MongoDB database I shown you in the part 1, whenever we are creating this, you can see that the created at, it has been created at this time and date and updated at this time and date. You can see that. So these things are coming from this timestamp. So let's create the timestamp true. So timestamp true. So no double s, you can use timestamp. So timestamps true. So whenever we make this timestamps true, so whenever the user will add anything to our database, automatically the created date will be appear. So that's why you are using timestamps. So after that we can create the model. After creating the schema, we can create a model. How to create a model? Here you can define the model name task and task schema, and after that we have to export our task. So whenever we are creating, we have to export also, so that we can use on our TaskRoute. So let's come on the TaskRoute and let's create our first route. So in the first route, so we are using group routes, right? So we can define const router equal to express.router. Express.router is used to create group routes, and this group route will be with this API task. So here we can, let's create a new task. How to create a new task, right? How we can create a new task? So router.post. So we are sending something from the front end, right? We are sending something from the front end, so we can use post, router.post. And here we are using the slash. So it will create on the, where is our API slash task. So at this route it will create the new task, and we are using protect middleware. You can see that the protect middleware. So it will protect our task creation. So whenever the user want to create, it should be authenticated. No other user can create the task. So user should authenticate to create the task. That's why we have passed the protect middleware, and this protect middleware we have created in the part 1, right? So you can go and check out. So I have explained very in the detail in the part 1, so please check out. So here we can write what are the input we are going to take from the user body. So here we can define like title, description, and the priority and the due date. So what are the things? Title, description, priority, due date, and status. So we are taking the status also. So here you can define status. So title, description, priority, status, and due date. So these are the 5 things we are taking from the request body, right? So what is the request body? This, the user whatever input the user will give. So after that we can create the task with the user input. So how to create the task? So we can write like task equal to await. So we are using async await task dot create, right? So here we can create. So when you are using creating anything, so in our model, so here define the model name, the task that we have imported here, task dot create, means we are going to create the task. So how, with what we are, so each task should have a user id. So when the task has been created, you can see that when the task has been created, the task has a user id. This is the id of the task. So you can see the underscore id is the task id, but here the user id. So this is the user that this user has created this task. Now after that, here we can create the task with the title, description, priority, status, and due date. And after creating task, we have to, and this create will automatically save into the database. And after that we have to pass this response, right, with the 201, right? So we can pass 201 means anything that has been created in the JSON form, and here we can pass the task, right? So we, after creating, we can give the response so that the front end can take this response and show on the UI, right? So this is how we can create a new task. Quite easy, right? So how to get all tasks for the authenticated user? So suppose I am logged in and I am come back. So when I refresh this, I am able to get my all the tasks. So I will able to get my all the tasks that I have been created, right? I am able to get my all tasks because I am authenticated. So how to get my all tasks that I has created? So to get all tasks, we can use router.get, and in this we can pass the protect method. So we have to protect our this route. So who can take all the tasks? Those who is authenticated. So we are using protect method where to protect our task. So here we can define const task, right? And in this we can pass await task dot find. So we have to find the task. So how we will find the task? So with the user id, who has created this task? The user. So whenever the user is creating task, it has also assigned the user id. So whenever the user is creating the task, it has a user id with that task. So we have to find with the user id. So who is created the task? So we will use the user id. So in this we will pass user and request dot user dot underscore id. So this request dot user dot id coming from the database, our model, right? So request dot user dot underscore id. And after this, suppose we find the task with the user, so we can give the response as a task, right? So this how we can get all the tasks by the user. Now how we can update the task? So we are updating the task by clicking on this icon, the pencil icon, and we can change whatever the change we can do, and we can update the task, right? It has been updated, and with this clicking on the check mark also we are updating the task. So how we are going to update the task? So to update the task we have to use http method put, right? So router dot put. So here we can suppose we are updating this task only, this first eating task, so we are updating this only. So this each task have a unique id. Whenever we are creating the task, it has a unique id. You can see that the id, see. So whenever we are creating any task, it has a unique id. So with that id we have to update only that. So here only that task we want to update that match with the specific id. So only we have to change this, not to change this. Suppose I want to change this, the changes should appear on this task only, not the other task. So how to identify that task? We have to identify that specific task using that task id, right? So here we can define like id slash id, and here you can see that this is the id, this is the id that we have passed the parameter, right, to the route. So with that specific id we have to get that task, sorry, update that task. So we have to update that task with a specific id, right? And we have to protect that id. So only authenticated user with the specific task, only that user can update the task. I am the authenticated user, I can only update the my task only, not the other task. So that's why we are using protect middleware. So after that, here we can find the task equal to await. How we are going to find the task? Find the task by id. So this params.id is coming from this id. So whenever we are updating the task, this is coming from the params.id. So it is automatically taking the task id from the parameters. So this is the parameter that we have passed, right? So suppose we get the task from our task model that we have set in our database, which is using the find by id to find the task. Suppose we get the task, and suppose we don't get the task, what we'll do, we will give an error like task not found. We can send the message, right? Suppose we get the task, so what we will do? So let's write the function for that. So before that we can write one more thing. So suppose the task does not find, so this is for the task not found to update. Suppose the user is the task user and the user id does not match, so we will write the point for that also, we have to check that also. So it will, you can write like this to protect your task more securely from the other user. So what here we are doing, the task dot user dot to string. So what it does means in the task you can see that the user id. So we, with this user id we are converting this user id to string. So task dot user id to string, and then requested user id. So I am the requesting this to update this. So I am requesting this task to update. So my id will also go. So I am requesting from the front end and backend approve, and our task has been here updated. So I am the requested user id. So here we have to pass the requested user id, and we have to convert it to the string, then only we can. If it we if you not convert to the string, it will show an error and it will show undefined. So convert it to the string and then we have to check. So here if it is not equal to, means I am requesting the user, my id is 123, and that in the task that who the user has created is 234, but 123 is not equal to 234, so means I am not the authenticated user, so it will show an error that not authorized to update the task. Only the requested user id, suppose I requested this user id and the in this the task the user id is mine only, so only then only I can update the task, right? So now let's create the update the task. So after creating the task we can update the task like task. So in the our database we have a task title, so requested dot body dot title. So here in the request we have a, so whenever the here we can take it as a, like we can define here also like const title description due date from the request body, and here we can pass the title only, title. So we can do like this also. First we can take from the request body and here we can pass the title, right? So this how also we can pass this. So let's pass like this only, so it will be easy. Otherwise we can go and write like this also. So I'm showing you the many different way to do this, right? So from the request dot body the title whatever the user has requested, so I am requesting that I have to change this eating to like playing, right? So I'm requesting this title to update, so this title has been updated, and you can see that here the task title will update. If suppose I am updating only the title, but the description and the this date and the priority is remain same, right? So here if you will not update the, it will take the previous that we have saved, right? So similarly we can define for other also, description, priority, status, and due date. So here we can define all of these things from the request whatever the user has requested. We have to accept that request, we have to save to the database. So from the database the task.description whatever that is, that will replace with the requested. If user has not requested for this field, so it will take the previous whatever the previously we have given the description. So must write this line of code. So after that we have to update the task, so we have to save the task, right? So whenever we are updating this, so we have to save to the database also. So use task.save, then we have to send the response so that updated task will show on the user UI, right? Now after updating the task we can delete the task also. So how to delete the task? So to delete the task we can route router.delete. So delete is a HTTP method, right? So we can use router.delete, and we have to delete, suppose I want to delete only this. So suppose I want to delete this only, so it will delete only that task only, not all tasks. So how we will identify? We have to use the id. Similarly when we are updating the task we are using the id, right? So with that specific id we have to delete the task also. And who is going to delete the task? The user who is authenticated, so we are using protect middleware, right? So you know where and how to use protect middleware, right? So to delete the task, but we'll find a task that present in the database or not. Suppose I want to delete a task that is not present in database, so it will cause a problem. So await task dot find by id, and here we will remove this. So here we are finding the task with the requested parents id. So here we are finding the task id. So like above we have find the task id, right? So similarly we are finding the task. Suppose if task not found, so in above we task not found, we have shown the error like task not found. If user is not authorized, we can pass that also, right? So we have to pass these two things, like if task not found, if user is not authenticated, that we have passed in the updated or out, right? Here to string we have to converting the user id to string, that the user has created the task, the right? So from the requested user id, the user who is creating that requested user id and the task, in the task that user id is present, both should be matched, right? So here you can see that this user id that present in the task, so only this user only can delete the this task. So we have written the check also. Then after that, task dot remove. So task dot remove will remove that task. So for the saving we are using task dot save, for removing we are using task dot remove. Then after that we can send message to the backend like task has been removed, right? From the, so here we can, and here we can use one more thing. So delete one. So delete one. So what does delete one? It will delete only one task. So this also is also correct. So we can use task dot delete one, and it will also delete the task, right? And after that we can export default router. So whenever you are creating the route, you have to export, right? So we have created successfully our all the routes that we need on TaskRoute, and we have created the model also, right? So now let's check everything working fine or not. So use Postman. If you have not installed Postman, go and install Postman from the any browser, go and check out. So first we will create the task. So how we will create the task? We are using post, right? In the code you can see that we are using the post http method, where it is here, see here, and which is the API route, means API slash task, right? So let's create some task. So here let me rename this like task create, and here I'll copy the localhost URL, and here we will write API tasks. So you can check the, here you can check API slash tasks, and our port is running on the, let me run our backend server. So see our server is running on the 5000, and MongoDB has also been connected, so no error, right? So let's check. So here to create the task we have to pass some request from the body, right? So what are the things we have to pass? So let's see. So in the task route, what are the things we are taking from the request body? Title, description, priority, status, and due date, right? So we'll uh, take this everything one by one. So let's copy all these things. I'll copy and I'll paste it here, and one by one I will create. So create in a like JSON format. So I'll create it. We'll pass the title. Suppose we have passed the title like coding with Becodewala, right? And after that we can pass the description, right? So we can pass the description also here. So in the description we can pass like MERN Stack, right? Then we can pass the priority also. So here the priority will be like low, or you can write high priority, and then we can write like here also status is completed, right? And here we can pass like due date. So in due date, how we are going to give the date? So here we are giving the date in this format. So whenever we select the date, so in this format, right? So let me try with that 11/06/2025, right? So why is showing the error? So we have now passed the comma. So now from the request body we are passing the title, description, priority, status and due date. So let me test this. So let's test it. So you can see that not authorized because I am not logged in. So let me log in first, right? Because you can see that no cookies right now. So let me log in. If I am authorized, then only I can able to create the new task. You can see that the cookie has been shown, right? The JWT token, right? And now we will try to create other task. So let's see. So you can see that we have passed that due date is required, and we are passing here in this format. I think this format is now supportable. So what we can do here, in the due date is passing correctly but the format is wrong, right? So we can do one thing. Here we can, in the due date we can, as of now, when we are working with the backend, so we can remove it. As of now we can test on the front end, and here we can remove it, and let's create this. So you can see that the task has been created successfully, right? And so we have fixed that due date. So here we have, I have changed the required to true as of before, right? We can restart the server, right? So I have restarted the server. There are no error as of now, and the due date format should be in this format. You can see that the format should be in the date and with the time also. Time is 000, 0 hours, 0 minute, everything, right? So we have to pass like this. So let's go and connect our database, the current database that we are using. So in Todo IT we have a task, right? So we will delete all these tasks and we will create the new task. So we'll refresh it. There are no tasks as of now, and before it was coming the, we don't know the format how to pass in the due date. So we have to pass the time also with the date by default. So that's why it was giving error before. So now we will try with this. So let me send the request, and after sending a request you can see that the 201 means it has been created, and let me refresh. So the task has been created with this user has been created because I am logged in right now, that's why. So you can see that the cookie is also present, so it is verifying with the JWT token that I am verified. So let's change this and create a new task like playing, and here we can change whatever the date. So I'm just testing, so let me test this also. Since this playing has been created, let's refresh our database and you can see that the playing has been created, right? So we are good to go with the creation of our task. Now let's get all the tasks. So how to get the task? So let me duplicate this, and here we will rename to get task, right? So how we will get the task? So we'll get the task with the same path. So what is the path that we have defined here? So here in the task route, to get the task we have to pass the slash means the same route. Where is our route? API slash task, right? So here we can pass 5000 API slash tasks. So let's get all the tasks. See, I am able to get my task. So we have created two tasks. You can see that the first task and the second task. The two tasks I have created, right? So the two tasks I am able to get it because I am authenticated. See, right? And now let takes another like update the task. So here put method, and we have to pass the ID also. So to update the task, let's duplicate this, and here we can pass the API task, and here we have to pass the tasks of that ID task. So uh, we have to pass the ID of that task. So here we have to pass the ID of that. So this task has this ID, object ID, right? So select this, the numbers and the alphabet combination. You can see that in the single quotation we have to copy that ID and we have to pass after the task. So you can see that the route we have defined like API task, and after that we have a slash ID, right, in our group route. So when we have to update that specific task, so which task ID it is, so this is the playing task. So we have to change playing to something like other name, right? So how to update that, right? So go to the request body, and here we can pass the title. So I want to update only title, not all those things. So let me here write something title, like what the title we can write, like travel. So we have to update this task with the specific ID, means we want to update this task only, not all the tasks. So let's pass this. So after sending the request, the successful response, and it has been updated. So here it is showing playing, but when you refresh this, you can see that the travel, the title is travel, right? So we have successfully update our task. So now we will test our delete. So we have to delete. So for deleting also we need ID. So I will delete this travel task, right? So to delete this we will use this delete one. So go for the delete http, and here we have to pass that ID, the which task you want to delete, and here we have to not pass anything in the request body. You can see that no request body is present here in the delete. So we have to just pass this with the ID, and you can see that task has been removed. And here you can see that when I refresh it, the task will be removed, right? So you can see that the task has been removed, and we have successfully tested our all the routes. So here we have completed our backend part. So, and if you want to know how to post this backend code on the GitHub, so go on my YouTube channel. So here we will find the YouTube video to upload the any GitHub. So here I have explained Becodewala. So search Becodewala on YouTube, and here you will find the this video how to set up, not sorry, not this one, where it is. So here you can see that here we have, I have explained how to deploy in the, how to deploy a React application, right? So in this only I have also explained how to upload the GitHub. So how to upload the code on the GitHub I have explained in this tutorial also.
dist file was not there.
Here
Now just
we will find
terminal.
using code
So
on GitHub.
like
Here you can,
in VS Code,
here you can see that
write
I
node
will copy
modules.
this
This
section,
is the important
right?
thing, and
So I have
env
explained
file.
in
So
very
this
detail.
node
So
modules is
at the
very large,
time
very large. We
let's
can't deploy on
16
our
minutes. At 16
GitHub, right?
minutes you can
It's a
go and
very
check
heavy.
this video.
Don't deploy
In
node
this tutorial
modules.
I will explain
Write the same
how
name,
to
node
deploy and how to push
underscore
code on the
modules. Here,
GitHub. You can see
ignore
that
these two.
everything I have
We
explained:
move
git add,
with this
git
command
push, git
and
remote
this
origin.
new your
Everything
code
I
on the
have
GitHub.
explained here.
Click on add new
It
site.
is very
Click
easy
on
to
import
push the
an
code,
existing project. When
right?
you click,
So go and check this video right now. And if you want to push your this code on the GitHub, go and check that video and push this code on the GitHub. And when you are pushing the code on GitHub, one thing that everything I've explained in this video, everything, the one important thing, that we are creating our .env file. So this is our secret file. We have to not pass to the GitHub. We don't push your secret on the GitHub, right? Otherwise other people can steal your secret key. So we have to create .env file, right? So we have to create .env file. That everything I have to, sorry, .ignore file. So .env we have created earlier, right? See the .env file. Now we have to create the .ignore, .git ignore, .git ignore. So this .git ignore, and here when you are pushing the code on the GitHub, you have to ignore this file .env. So I've explained in the very detail how to push your and how to and node modules. Don't upload your don't node modules on GitHub. So I've explained everything in the very high detail in this video, how to deploy React app. So everything I have explained, so go and must check out. So we will meet in the next part of the tutorial with the front end part of this Todo application. So we will build in the next part how to design all these pages, how to design the all this add tasks and create tasks, everything we will see in the next tutorial. So that's it for our front end part. So hope you guys like the explanation of the backend part. We will see in the front end pass. So comment down how you like our the MERN Stack project and the explanation of the backend. So we'll meet in next video with the front end part of this application. So thanks for watching. So thank you, and I will give the source code of this project in the description. You can go and check out, and please follow on the GitHub and the give a star on my GitHub repo. So thank you.